Shaking, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Nerdy Couch. I'm Nerdy.
That doesn't make me Couch. I'm Baron Grimm.
So
This is Couch.
We've got some very special guests on this show. At the very least, we have this new shirt, which is definitely a character of its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we have Chad
from Tardigrade.
From Tardigrade Comics.
Well,
now,
sorry.
Welcome
press.
very much. What'd you say?
I said press. I said comics.
They deal with comics, so that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Chad is our first creator on the show.
I would say yeah.
And our very first publisher on the show. So this is a very big moment for us.
It's a double whammy.
Welcome to the show, Chad.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Yeah, it's always good to be the first. So,
yeah, we're very happy to have you. I'm a bit of a fan of some of the work you've done. So we're going to get you talking about it right away, I think.
Absolutely.
Why don't you go ahead, Chad, and just kind of explain who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about Tardigrade, your publishing company.
For sure. My name's Chad Leduc. I am an illustrator and the CEO of Tardigrade Press. I'm looking to actually turn it more into a collective where we can bring in individuals with specific skills and focus more on a broader spectrum as well. So we can, expand at a quicker rate with more people involved, right? So, because right now it's me and I'm kind of doing all the yard work when it comes to a lot of the just general work, from everything from like pencils to inks to colors to drawing to writing to outlining and scripting as well for some of the books, and digging from that pile.
Which makes you a very busy man.
Very talented, obviously, too.
Thanks, guys. I just got into the comics fairly recently just because of a turn of events that happened in my life that kind of left me in a situation where I could focus on drawing again. And that's what I do to, I guess, keep my soul singing and just.
I love that. I love that phrase actually right there. I'm probably going to steal it.
Are you?
Yeah.
So, Chad,
appreciate that.
Why did you decide to start a publishing company for comics?
We actually did it through convenience at first. Initially, we had started with an idea that I'd pitched to Johnny Watt or Johnny Cassidy on the first Sasquatch Klondike book. And then we got to a point where we were kind of halfway through the book and we were looking at different printers and kind of sussing out printing costs. And then I suggested that maybe we should look at leasing or finding a printer where we could actually print our own book. And realizing that if you went for a lease for a printer, although we could control our costs and keep the prices really low, considering we didn't want to tie into a 15-year lease for a printer. So I decided also to brand and make it a actual publishing company as we kind of progressed through, based on that printing need and printing desire, but also to put it into like a legitimate company. As it moves forward, it can grow and expand, and it's just kind of, that's exactly what it's done. It's just kind of grown and expanded and perpetuated into a bigger and bigger thing. And the more people that we kind of met through social media and connected with as well, it's just become just a bigger thing.
Yeah. So did you see yourself doing this, or was it something that just kind of, happened and you kind of capitalized on it and you kind of pushed towards it? Is it something that has been in the works for a long time, or?
Well, ever since I was young, I used to draw images and comics. I used to spend a lot of time in high school science class drawing these fight scenes with my buddy Matt. And we used to draw comics on like the lined paper where they would just be like a slugfest. So we'd go like, he'd draw a panel and then he'd shift the paper over to me and I'd draw a panel. And then we just have these two guys just going on this death brawl, just kind of, it was probably the first UFC, but on paper. And
I love to hear that's kind of like a childhood thing that's grown into something you love to do, right?
For sure.
Something that you can turn into a business that is just a joy for you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love doing this. I love connecting with different creators, and the whole indie scene's been really supportive and really awesome. There's been lots of great creators as well out there, like Chris from Tights and Mark from Lesser Known Comics and Dan from Bigfoot Knows Karate. These guys have been really great. So, and they've been really supportive as well. Like the community is amazing and wicked. And I just hope in the next little while that I'm able to get out there and be able to start just getting to shows and doing some conventions, and then start doing like what do they call it? Like a circuit, you know, get used to the circuit. It's a Western tour of drawing and meeting people and doing stuff like that.
You find when you're out at those kinds of conventions and expos and stuff, do you get like inspired by the other artists' work that are out there to keep creating?
I've only been to one convention in my life, and that was just the Fan Expo not too long ago.
That's a great one to be at, though.
Yeah, and I just went as a visitor to check it out. But for events, the only events that I've actually done are for Brandon at Back in Time.
Yeah, we actually see Brandon in the chat here, so welcome.
Oh, nice.
Actually, welcome everybody in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions. You know, we'll only be really talking about anything that's relevant to Tardigrade and stuff like that. But yeah, feel free to ask a question in the chat.
Yeah,
you're all welcome here.
Brandon's been really supportive as well for being a local creator in Brantford and getting books out there to individuals as well. And just giving us kind of like a voice in like kind of, it's a new pond for us, right? Compared to where I grew up in Woodstock.
Yeah. And I think some of the artists that are under your Tardigrade are here in Woodstock as well. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, the creators of the Fatal Charades live in Woodstock.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. We'd love to have them on sometime.
Absolutely. I've been talking to Daryl and, you know, kind of dropping it and being like, hey, get in contact with these guys, you know?
Yeah, definitely. We'd like to speak with a lot of your artists.
Absolutely.
How many people do you have under Tardigrade right now? Is it the number of artists and stuff you have growing, or?
We've worked with about 15 or 16 different creators from different countries.
Great.
So we've worked with people from Russia. We've worked with people from Indonesia. We've worked with people from Australia, Austria, Germany, Brazil, the US, and then I'm probably missing some, but Canada as well, right? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got to praise the Canadian artists. All right,
the Canadian roots. There's quite a few artists that we've been working with as well. That are fairly local, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. You know, always got to support local, right?
Yeah. Is it important to you to have like that tight knit community of local artists and writers and whatnot?
For sure. A lot of the guys that we worked with initially were in a group of people from Woodstock, and it just happens that one was a writer, another was a writer, another's an illustrator, another's an illustrator, and we just kind of grew it from there. So,
did it kind of just fall into place then, in that manner?
Yeah, it just one step after another, and then it just kept on growing and growing and growing and expanding. So it was awesome in that regard. And then social media has been another great way too, because as you're going through and perusing, Instagram is the one that I used.
Oh yeah.
and then finding different artists that I liked, and then just reaching out. And that's how we connected as well with, great artists like Dr. Rock and artists like Andrew Tong, who was a friend of mine. We worked together when I lived out west, and now he's in Germany as well. And he's the guy that created this cover for Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's a great cover, by the way.
And he's a phenomenal illustrator and painter. And being a buddy of mine, he was right into creating covers and doing work as well. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you're working with a lot of local artists and stuff like that, if you have had a chance to go outside of the indie community and work with some bigger artists and titles, would that be a thing that you'd be excited to do, or was it something you'd like to keep?
It's actually what we're merging into right now.
Oh wow!
The guy that's doing the coloring on our up and coming Sasquatch 2 book, he's an actual professional colorist, and he's actually working on one of the Spawn series.
That's
No way.
awesome. I'm a huge Spawn fan,
That's
so that
cool.
excites me.
I bet.
Right? And you're not going to get the smile off my face on that.
Yeah, and I kind of gave you guys the sneak peek of the cover for the new. Like, we might as well show it on the show, right? Like, this is
Yeah, if you're comfortable showing it, then we are. We don't want you to give too much away, but whatever you're comfortable sharing, that's a blessing to the community and to us.
and it's an homage cover as well to Brandon would know the name of the guy for Invincible, the creator and artist of that, right? So I'm having a brain fart here.
I think we'll let Chad share his screen. I think he has. So yeah, I think that's what we're talking about here.
It's the cover that's there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great cover, and it definitely, to me, has like a very professional kind of
Oh yeah,
Marvel feel to it.
for sure. I mean, whenever I see a blue helmet, I automatically think of the cap.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
but then it's got Thor wings on the sides too. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's some great color work, and it's a fantastic cover altogether, man.
Oh yeah.
in fact, that's actually what I look like under this shirt.
Yeah, that's why he wears the shirt
Yeah.
to contain all of that.
Well, I modeled it, right? So
Yeah. That's what I've heard about you. That's the
big
main thing
square
that I
job.
know about you.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us about this artist and this cover?
So Dr. Rock, he's a YouTube influencer, and he does a lot of fan art videos on how to draw. So that's his go-to. I met him basically through the chats on YouTube, and then we started connecting and then talking via PMs and stuff. And I'd kind of been talking to him for, I would say, probably a year and a half, and kind of dropping seeds in the soil along the way, and then, half a year later, one of those seeds germinated, and he was interested in doing a sequential book, because I think he was just more focused in doing like cover art and that.
Yeah.
But realized like it's essential for any kind of artist to get into doing sequential work, because you learn so much about, drawing and storytelling and everything else as well. And no, it's great to have him on board, and it's great to see the artwork, right? So and where it is, right? So this one is actually launching next month in October. I'm hoping it's on the 15th, but the date might shift a little bit, because I was a little over ambitious with Kickstarter and stuff like that. And Kickstarter's like, no, you can only like submit one pre-launch page at a time. So when this Kickstarter's done, then you can start your other Kickstarter, which gives us an allotted time of 5 days because this actual Kickstarter is already built in the back end. So we're just importing new photos, updating colors, and then launching it. So,
Okay, so you mentioned Kickstarter. This is how you get your books out there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a no-risk platform. So what you can do is you can get all your pieces together, and that's what we've done in the past. Is we've completely built our books before we launch our Kickstarters. not like launch a Kickstarter and then have the creative team finish or complete a book.
Which is what I find a lot of people do with books and stuff like that, is they launch the campaign before anything's finished.
Mm-hmm. And it takes forever to get books.
Yeah, and I think I like what you guys are doing a little better. There will be a link to the Kickstarters in the bio, in the comment section, description. All the information for Tardigrade and its Kickstarters will be in the description. So
make sure to get that pre-launch page for Sasquatch New Beginnings, which is our newest book, being launched on the 15th. And head on over there and click the notify me button, because with that notify me button, what it does is it helps our algorithm to getting what we want is a badge called Projects We Love. And once you get that Projects We Love badge, it helps stimulate more traffic through the Kickstarter as well. And which is great, because that's what we use, is that no risk platform in order to crowdfund the printing costs, some of the back end costs as well. So with the creative team that we're working now, is we just made sure to cover all of the costs that were associated to actually printing the book and fulfilling the book and things like that. Any additional fees that we make above and beyond are going to be split amongst the creative team. So
as it should be, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why we set our goal lower. With some of the other higher goals, it's to facilitate 50% of those costs, and then the other 50%. But there's a breakdown also in the Kickstarter as well as to where the funds go. And with Dr. Rock and also the professional colorist, we want to make sure that they get paid at the end of the day as well. So we're pretty confident that they're gonna get pretty good
compensation.
Yeah, when people start to see the images from this book, I think they're going to get really excited, because you've seen the progression of the books that we've released from the beginning, and there tends to be more of a progression of the books becoming more and more professional. But we still want to maintain that whole indie feel as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
so is there a tier on your is Kickstarter? Is there tiers and rewards and such like that, or is it?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of different reward tiers and stuff. I can bring up the Kickstarter, and then is it a preview page or just a? No, I would have to show you it'd be like the inside of, because it's just a preview splash.
Whatever you're comfortable showing. It's don't feel obligated by any means. We've got links and stuff in the bio, so people can definitely check that out.
Yeah, with the new Sasquatch New Beginnings, we actually went from being like a noir book into a color book. At first,
I noticed that. Yeah,
we were just planning on it being like a grayscale kind of noir book as well, but then he just started coloring, and then it progressed from there and kept on growing and growing and growing. And the artist on that is Christopher Runsman, and he's local to London, and he's big into the indie community. He does like art jams and stuff like that, and there's one tomorrow night in London, 6 to 9.
Cool. And
no, he's just awesome. Like, he's self-published a bunch of different books. He has his own publishing company, Brantford Press, as well. So it's nice to have him on the creative team, because what I had done is I had created an outline and basically did like a page-by-page breakdown of the story. And then he took the story, he modified it a little bit, changed it, and did some stuff as well. So it's not like a professional publishing company where when you get a script and stuff and it's delivered and you're expected to follow it, to the dot basically, and then it comes in for revision and they do the revisions. It's been kind of like a clay where the sculpture's kind of been molded as the project's progressed and grown. So
do you feel like do you feel really comfortable in your style currently, or do you feel like you're continuously growing then and adjusting to new things?
Definitely, my style is progressing and growing, because I didn't really draw as a comic book illustrator before, it was more kind of like a character-based stylistic style as well. But I've known or noticed since the Sasquatch books, like the Klondike 1 and the Klondike 2, that it's really progressed from the books that I've actually done and drawn. And even in the more recent drawings that I've posted on Instagram, there's a real progression. And you can see that if you drop to the bottom of the page and then scroll up, you can see the progression of the drawings. So I want to get more time to do more drawing. Like right now, I'm doing a lot of the structural back end building, communication, marketing. So it's...
What part of that, sorry, what part of that do you enjoy most? Like, do you enjoy the artistic aspect of it, or the business side of it, where you get to take care of Tardigrade as a CEO?
I enjoy a lot of aspects of the actual networking, communication, and just talking and meeting people as well. Like I enjoy meeting fans and communicating with people that are passionate about the projects that we're doing, and it kind of fuels the jet in retrospect, right? So,
Right.
And
Got a audience question there. Monica was wondering, what's your favorite accomplishment?
Yeah, what's your biggest accomplishment that you feel that you've made through all of this?
It's definitely, the accomplishment is getting to where I am right now. So
yeah,
being on the Nerdy Couch show.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where you are right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're just the first to experience that accomplishment and add that to their checklist for life. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like a brand or a tattoo or something like that.
Yeah.
Nerdy Couch. I survived the Nerdy Couch.
I survived the Nerdy Couch is actually probably the most accurate thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier before the show, we'll definitely be getting you a Nerdy Crew shirt. You can be an official part of the Nerdy Crew.
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to be on the couch. That's the whole.
You know what? We would love to have you on the couch. This one, no, not the. Let's not get it. Let's not get mixed signals here. All right.
You got a little inflatable one that sits like right up in front. You know.
Yeah.
Squeaking in.
Definitely, we definitely have a larger. We can expand our studio a little bit to add more seats. We haven't had the opportunity yet.
We did.
Well, we did, but I like
over there.
I like to forget the time your wife was on.
Oh, that's nice.
So, that being said, I want to know where your inspirations come from. Like, what do you have? Like certain artists that you really draw inspiration from, and like, what fuels you in that manner?
Ever since I was young, there was definitely different artists that inspired me. I was obviously inspired by different comic book artists back in the probably 70s and 80s as well, but none that I specifically knew by name, but it probably like Bob Kane, Jack Kirby's a big influence of mine now. Tim Burton was always an influence of mine growing up.
Oh, yeah, that's nice one. I don't hear that often when I talk about comics and stuff.
No.
So,
but I always liked his perspective and his view on the world, but being more on the dark side of reality, right? So I really like that. And then as I kind of grow as an artist, I tend to pick more from other inspirations. Like when I was getting into comic book drawings, I spent a lot of time like watching David Finch draw, and it's kind of like a progression of when you're actually hunting and looking for reference material, you're kind of growing and seeing what's out there, and just drawing away. And like my desk in the background, that's like all Kirby drawings, right?
Yeah, I've been eyeing up your desk the whole time.
Yeah, because he's, I don't know. I think he's like the illustrator of like comic book artists, right? Where he super exaggerates things that don't really make sense in like a physical space reality.
Yeah,
because they're so dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's often a thing. I'm a bit of a Liefeld fan, and he's notorious for drawing things that just don't make sense on the page.
Was that the Captain America chest?
Yeah, that's just over exaggerated.
Yeah.
And then that's been mocked
Oh,
and recreated for several things along the lines. The man couldn't draw feet.
There's tons of them that don't draw feet. Like they
Yeah.
all crop their feet out of everything that they draw. Like there's,
Yeah.
I got a David Finch poster here of like Dragon Rage, and yeah, the feet are cropped off.
Is there anything like that for you? Like, is there anything that you just are so uncomfortable drawing that you'll just kind of cut them off?
I don't know. Like I kind of go for it, and in the first Sasquatch, I was like, I don't really want to draw any perspective stuff. Okay, let's just focus on character drawing right now. Let's work on that. You know, we're out in the wilderness. We don't have to work on like a whole bunch of perspective stuff. But you still have to implement some sort of perspective rule when you're doing like landscape stuff, which I had to do in the second one, where they're crossing a river and then you're seeing more of an expansive view of like the set or the establishing shot of where the characters are in the Klondike.
Yeah, you definitely have to kind of paint some sort of a story, right?
For sure. And that's another thing I want to mention too, is that this story, like Sasquatch New Beginnings, is like a continuation from where the Klondike stories were. It takes place in the same general time period, but kind of continuates from that as well. Because this Klondike series ended with the 2 books, and now this is just kind of a fresh start, new. That's why it's called New Beginnings.
Is it kind of a prelude then, or is it?
It is. I wasn't sure what kind of wordage to use with it specifically, but it's new characters, new storyline, and bringing you into kind of more of an isolated sense of being a Klondike gold miner. So you're definitely going to get with this one that whole seclusion or isolated feel, as he's basically scrambling away from this creature that's just trying to decimate him, right? So
that's great.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Doing the nod.
So like could you kind of give a base of what the Sasquatch stories are about type deal? Like what's the basic premise of that?
To me, like the Sasquatch
in a broad sense, I don't want to give anything away for anyone type deal.
Yeah, it's just more about me exploring a topic that I'm extremely interested in, and then based on experiences that I've had as well. So it's become a passion of mine rather than become, one of those individuals tromping through the bush, constantly in search of some sort of physical sign of Sasquatch, right? So the comic way is my way of keeping a finger on the pulse of that community as well. And for me to explore the stories and different cultures and different time periods where there could be encounters with like the Sasquatch people and other storylines that kind of prelude, thanks Dan, prelude to that experience. Because what I'd like to do is expand on different storylines. Like I have a storyline that I would like to get into based on like the Yowie and going into Australia and going into the outback, and then having like an old kind of like penal colony camp where, the British are dropping off all of their prisoners of war and stuff like that to work, and almost like kind of like a chain gang where they're out there, but then they get decimated by, a Yowie or come in contact with that, like storylines like that, right? So
that's cool. You seem to be kind of like an enthusiast about the Sasquatch in general.
Yeah,
is that true?
Topic, yeah. So I've had some experiences, and I'll keep it at that. So
that's fair.
Dig into this
Yeah, that's it.
deep,
Turn into a whole new topic, eh?
take you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Do you have anything else interesting to ask?
Do I have interesting things to ask? Yeah. When you're drawing, has something that you've started drawing ever surprised you with the finished product?
Is there anything that you've drawn you ever said it just wow?
Wow.
You know?
This turned out amazing.
Yeah, it definitely happens. I can definitely see the progression of how my skills and my craft are getting better and more fine-tuned, and with the stylistic approach to how things are being portrayed. So, because as you can attest, like the first Sasquatch book, like this is the first like digital book that or digital painting that I ever did.
Yeah, that's very familiar with me. I think that may be my first experience with the Sasquatch books.
Yeah, and the images in this are like, they're really heavy, they're really dark, they're, you know, I guess it falls into that whole horror kind of noir feel of book.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see in some of the newer work that I've done that I kind of get away from that whole like dark feel of this book, and then move into just cleaner lines. So I kind of want to
more detail and stuff, maybe.
I'm not much of a hatcher, although the last piece that I did for the card series that we're going to be releasing for the Vikings Kickstarter as well, there's going to be like a card collection that goes with.
That's cool.
So there'll be Rock, who's illustrating one, there's a cover contest as well that Rock is going to announce through.
Yeah, I think Laura was telling me about that.
Yeah.
Maybe you had mentioned it to her at one point. I think that's a really cool concept.
Yeah. So there's a cover submission thing through me. There's also a fan art contest that's coming out as well. And there is, where am I going with this train? And there's something else. Oh man.
Now, is that all for a specific title, or is that for it like in general, or?
It's for Vikings. So
okay, yeah, it is for Vikings.
I just got the train back on the rails here. So basically where I was going with this is there's going to be a variation of different artists, and then I'm contributing as an artist, but only in the collector card set, which will be released as a reward tier, and probably also a stretch goal as well, where we're going to release different cards and probably different variations of cards like foil cards and things like that as well, which will be great.
Now, as a publishing company, are you able to publish those cards, or do you have to outsource that?
Yeah, that's all being outsourced right now. The stretch goal for Tardigrade is to get to the point where we're actually printing and running and doing all of our own stuff. But considering we're just like one person right now,
yeah,
it makes
it's definitely limiting at that point, right? Like
for sure.
As you grow, opportunities arise where you have more people, things get easier on you, progression in that manner, right?
For sure. And then right now, operating costs of running, like machines and doing things like that, there's a lot of operating costs behind that. As more titles come out, then, we're going to get into producing books and doing stuff like that, which will be great. But right now, we were using a local printer, but I think with the supply chain and different papers, and also the one-stop kind of shop, which will specialize in a multitude of different things as well, we're going to be printing with another company this time. And we're probably going to be printing with them exclusively. But what that does is that gives us a deeper reach into the States as well, because for shipping and distribution, it allows us to have like a central hub that is accessible to Canada and the US. So
that's great. That's good.
Yeah, and we're going to be also working with other contributors as well on Kickstarters. So we're going to broaden the range of books that are coming through the wavelengths. So, and we're in talks with that as well. So
Nice.
That's great. Obviously, growth is always a good thing, right?
well, I was not expecting to be at this point based on, it initially just being, hey, let's just make a comic. And then, oh, yeah, there's 2 comics, there's 3 comics, there's 4 comics, there's 5 comics, right? So
Yeah.
this is going to be, I think, number 6. And then there's going to be number 7 and number 8, hopefully out by the end of the year. So, and then we're going to have our first kind of superhero or super story coming out, which is already done. We're just working through the little logistics of some of the coloring. And then I wanted to release certain titles before I release that title as well.
Yeah.
And then we'll bounce back and forth and, just randomly release titles. So
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that. So Tardigrade is how old is Tardigrade now?
We are just shy of 2 years.
Yeah, so in 2 years, that's a lot of growth in 2 years.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, the Kickstarters definitely help us with offsetting the cost and having all of that out there, right? But it's just one book at a time and seeing where it takes us.
What are you looking at?
Huh? Pull up that Kickstarter.
Making like shadow things on the wall.
Yeah. Sometimes Laura just glares at me, and I'm not really sure what it means all the time. I don't know, like what she's.
You just need an airsoft gun,
Yeah. Oh, don't tell her that.
So yeah, there's the Tardigrade Press
Kickstarter page.
Yeah, it's the lander.
Beautiful artwork there. If you want to scroll up.
Is that scrolling up or scrolling down?
Yeah,
just scroll.
It's kind of a meta game you're playing here.
Yeah, so there'd be Klondike 1 and 2, and then we did both the first Vikings, the Fatal Charades. So
very cool.
So if anybody wants, is the Klondike a Sasquatch? I knew I was going to mess it up. At one point, it was bound to happen. Sasquatch Klondike, is the first issue still available?
It is. Yeah, you can purchase it directly from our website at tardigradepress.net. And it will also be available in reward tiers in the coming campaigns as well. We'll have like a Tardigrade collection.
Okay, that's crazy good.
So
yeah, I like that.
I like that. My brother, who I was hoping was going to be here in the audience today, is a big fan of your Sasquatch books.
Nice.
He's constantly on my case about, every time like new comic book day or free comic book day comes around, he's like, check to see at Brandon's shop if he's got any of the Klondike or the Sasquatch books.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's a big fan, and I think that I've become a big fan.
I am. Yeah.
So it's just I just want to see more.
Yeah, there's original art tiers as well. This one, the first 2 were digital. This one was drawn traditionally. So Christopher has reward tiers, and I posted some early birds on the Tardigrade Instagram page as well. If people are interested in purchasing original page art, and it's available.
Again, the information for the Instagram will be down below.
Yep.
I heard you say something about digital and stuff like that. Something we wanted to ask is what sort of tools you use, and some of your artists use. Is a lot of it digital, or is a lot of it like practical drawing?
It's been kind of like a 50-50 mix with traditional artists and digital artists. I know a lot of guys are liking to create the traditional pages so that they have actual work that they can sell at cons.
Yeah.
And it gives you a little bit of it gives you extra swag and stuff, which is awesome. But
the original prints and stuff like that, and
Yeah, there'll be sketch cards, original sketch cards that are going to be available as well in the next Kickstarter. If we hit our stretch goal of, I think, either 2,500 or 3,000, everybody will get a free traditional sketch card from Chris or I. It'll be
unreasonable, even.
No,
You know.
no.
And then because original sketch cards and stuff like that, they go for $40 most times, right? So
which seems low, honestly, to me. Like the work that goes into original art and stuff like that. I just artists have always felt are underpaid.
Yeah.
Like they're to value some of that artwork that low sounds criminal to me sometimes.
Well, and that's another exciting way for people to get into original artwork. It may not be like massive, but it's just a way to kind of break into it on card size, right? There will be a reward tier as well. But the thing with the reward tiers, we're going to make it miscellaneous because you're not going to know what you get.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that. I like being surprised. I love those surprise mystery boxes.
Mystery box-esque
like
sort of things where, it's just the excitement of opening a pack of cards and seeing what you get.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. I think it's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Monica was wondering if you're going to be at the London Comic-Con.
Which is coming up on the 18th, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I will be represented there by Christopher. Christopher will be there.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
He's one of the organizers for that too, right? So.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Awesome.
That's something that we haven't spoke about, but I was going to bring up. That maybe one or two of us go down just for the day and kind of have a good time. So maybe we'll see him there.
Nice. Is that this coming weekend?
It's the 18th, so
I think it's in a couple of weekends.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's a little bit.
Next Sunday.
Man, Monica asked me if I was going, and I said I didn't know about it until today. So it's kind of one of those things. Like I'd like to.
Yeah, I'd like to go too. I'm just kind of I could elaborate a little bit more on my personal life, but I've said before that the reason why I'm here is because I suffered a traumatic brain injury from a car accident, and I got into drawing, and this is where it's taken me. And there's some things that I can do, and other things I can't right now. So being in busy environments with lots of people and stuff like that is not the go-to right now. So
your situation.
Yeah, so I'm kind of breaking into that kind of gently as sees fit.
Yeah, you definitely got to take your time, and I mean, you've been blessed that it's led you to something that you love doing.
For sure, and then goes to answer that first question, right? Like I survived that, and I moved forward, and I'm looking for like the positive progression of moving forward, and it's all been great. So I think this is where I've really wanted to be when I was younger. Like this is kind of like the destination goal.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you just got to go through that journey to get to where you want to be. And
that's actually a little inspirational, kind of. It is. You go through the trials of life, and you just got to steer yourself towards something positive and something that brings you to a place where you can be happy and feel like you're successful in that, right? And and like you've done a great job with it. So good on you, man.
Kudos.
Happiness definitely outweighs a big wad of money, right?
Yeah. Well, I struggle with that all the time here at the Nerdy Couch show, with the wads of money and stuff. So I can obviously
you could have a big wad of money and you could be totally unhappy, or you could be totally happy and making ends meet and being happy. And I think if you're in that state of mind where you're just in that happy state of mind, that all that other stuff will come.
Yeah, like that's a good
look. It's just inspirational again.
Yeah.
Do I have to throw in the harp?
Yeah. Well, we normally have a harp player, but he's
he's
Right.
off today.
out of town today.
I was
Right.
wondering if Sven was coming on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Integral part of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
It all adds to the high production value.
That's our
show.
next shirt, by the way.
So
Sven.
Tom Cruise from the Legend of Fall or something like that.
Yeah.
The unicorns, and I wonder if we're getting some movies mixed up or whatever, but
Maybe.
That's often what we do on this show. I don't know if you've watched the show, but we kind of go off track a lot.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite surprised that it hasn't happened
We've
today.
been pretty solid today. I gotta say.
I'm actually want to pat ourselves on the back for staying on track.
Good.
Well, we've kind of deviated a little bit from the course, but that's all right. So
That's all right, you know. It happens, you know. We're here,
out, right?
yeah, just here to have a good time, you know.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to just hopping on the couch, just sitting there, and
it'll happen. It'll happen.
Oh, for sure. My
Well,
wife's in stock right now, but
so your wife's done some work with your company as well, right?
yeah, she does the final edits on a lot of stuff. She'll take a look over, and so she's pretty solid in the English department. So
just some proofreading and such.
Absolutely. I'm just the ideas guy, right? I do the outlines and scripting on some of the books as well. But when it comes down to the writing, we leave a lot of the talented people like Daryl Swatsky to, polish the ends of my crazy elaborate outlines. And, I'll send them an outline and then I'll talk with them on the phone for a couple hours about, we should do this and then do this and then tie this into this. And
so do you ever feel like you've had an idea that you've thrown out there and some of the guys have kind of taken it in a direction you didn't really?
It's definitely happened before. We've had writers that have come in to do some writing in that, and it didn't quite pan out the way I was expecting as well. Or they wouldn't follow the general outline, especially on some of the character and storylines of the universe that I was creating called the Biologicals, where I had a pretty solid foundation of an outline of the general worlds and characters and everything else. And I elaborated more as I went on and had meetings and elaborated a little bit more and stuff like that. I think more so with my stuff, I had a tighter grip on that stuff only because I didn't want it to deviate too far away from what I had initially conceived. Like I kind of feel in a sense that I'm like a director and I'm kind of choreographer between, like the art department and writers and everybody else, like in cinematographers, and trying to get everything in alignment, right? So that's been awesome. But when you bring in like other writers and other creators, like that's totally their goat, right? They can,
like it's their inspiration and their idea type deal, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have any say when it comes to what they're writing and stuff like that, or is it just you'll kind of let them take the reins?
Obviously, we've had submissions where the writing may not be what we want to represent at this time, or things that may be so controversial that we're just like, no, we don't want to touch it right now. So
maybe it's not the right time,
Absolutely. With the Fatal Charades is one of those projects where you're bringing in a creative team of Daryl Swatsky and Bob Little, and they're taking their high fantasy kind of genre and throwing their kind of interpretation and world and building on that. And there's other books that they're working on right now as well. We're actually working on trying to hammer down some anthologies as well, where we're bringing creative teams to do stories and be a part of some anthologies done by other companies. So
that's really cool.
I was in an anthology through another company as well called, I'm having a brain fart here.
Hashtag brain fart. Put that in the
literally just thinking hashtag brain fart.
Yeah.
It's been my life the last couple of years. So a lot of ailments, a lot of saying words, thinking other words. So
trust me, when it comes to words, I struggle.
Yeah.
Okay, like I don't know if I've pronounced a name correctly in 2 years.
That's probably accurate. Yeah.
So if I ever do, it's a big event.
And then there'll be like a teleprompt that's over there, and you just see like this big glow on Dan's face as he's like looking at you. You're like,
look, trust me, you can write a script. I won't follow it.
Or read it.
I go off script. I've written down things for myself. I've tried to prepare. And like I said, I'm a bit of a maverick, okay?
It's all timed with like a bouncy ball and light.
Oh, that ball.
That's what we need.
That ball would be going off the walls.
Or when he's reading, he's like doing this.
That's me. You ever see me trying to read a comment? I'm like.
That's why I take most comments.
That's legitimately why I have him here.
You have like
that's my only function.
Yeah. He's here to read comments and wear ridiculous shirts.
No, but with the whole storyline, I wanted to touch base on that with the storyline of like Klondike, and that we wanted to get into like the traditional oral storytelling from the Sasquatch.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little earlier. I was hoping you'd elaborate on that.
In the indigenous culture. So basically the Vikings, as they're, forging new ground and they're, taking over new territory, or they're coming into the new world, they've encountered both an indigenous culture and a Sasquatch culture that have formed a symbiotic relationship with one another as protectors and gatherers and so on and so forth, right? So we're getting into the story there of their traditions, and one of the main characters, Heartweaver, she uses beads and braids in her hair and stuff to pass on those stories to generations as being the elder. And also with the indigenous culture, it's just starting to unravel in their symbiotic relationship, and they're a coastal people, and they basically the sea is their main form of feeding, and they're migratory. They move probably to stay within the range, but you can see a change from the artist, because the first artist ended up being in a different part of the world that wasn't accessible to do the second issue, and also Rock came on as well, so it transitioned. So you'll see a transition of how the characters are portrayed by each artist, which I think is totally rad as well, right?
Yeah.
You get story runs in different books, but this isn't like one of the big companies where you got a guy that's doing like 10, 50, 100 book run.
Like you've got like a Donny Cates run of something where he stays on that title for X amount of issues, and then drops off and someone else picks it up, right? Like,
but I think it's really interesting to see that progression of one person's interpretation to the next, even from book to book, because it gives a different sense and a feel as it goes from book to book as well. And I think I might actually be the artist on the third book. I'm gonna just sneak in there. So
yeah, you gotta get your art in there, right? It is cool because everybody interprets something different with their art, right? And the inspiration that they draw into that really shows, right?
For sure.
Having a different artist on it, you kind of get this cool transition almost, right?
For sure. Like the way that Fleet Fox was drawn by Krill to Dr. Rock to me, they're all different variations of the same character, right? So, and I think that's the great part, is that we can each explore the storytelling in our own visual interpretation.
Definitely.
And I think it's wicked. So
I kind of like that sometimes in a book. When it works, it works.
Yeah.
When it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? Like when you have different artists on the same title,
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can go, I really like where they went from here to here.
Yeah.
Type deal.
They could draw different audiences in, or
Yeah.
you're going to have people that are going to like one book more than the other. It's a given, because they're going to be more attached or like specific artwork more than others. So like, to me, I like, as being an illustrator, I like seeing people's different interpretations and how they draw and illustrate as well. So
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah, and Christopher Unsman's a perfect example of that, because the way that he illustrates is way different than what you would see in a modern day like big comic publishing company, right? Because I don't think you would see a lot of illustrations like the type of illustrations he's doing, right? So
yeah,
and that's what we can get away with the indie,
And I think that like indie is the perfect spot for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's like in like the big titles and the big productions and stuff like that, they've got people looking at them and they've got rules to follow almost.
They have their formulas, right? And
yeah,
down to the dollar, right? So
which is why I think the indie scene has grown so much over the last so many years.
Well, especially with COVID and everything else, and people exploring, those new options and outlets that they didn't explore before too. So
also just getting away from like, I know that you said that you've got like a superhero-esque title maybe coming out, and I love that. But some of the bigger titles over the years have been veering away from the superhero genre.
I can give you a taste of the cover of that superhero one in just a second.
Ooh.
I love it.
While we're waiting, Tim has a question.
Tim, welcome.
Have you ever been approached about being optioned yet?
I don't know what option means.
I don't either.
Optioned means that somebody's approached you to talk about a title becoming a series or a show or a movie.
No, but there is some of the Klondike stuff or the Sasquatch topics that definitely I kind of visualize in like a movie sense.
So is that something you'd inspire to have as like maybe a series someday based on one of the books?
It would be pretty amazing. And I think that if it were the right storyline, that's something that was just unique enough to be separate would be awesome.
I know some great Indigenous filmmakers, just in case you ever decide to.
That would be wicked, because like that's another thing too, is we want to diversify like the different voices that we have through Tardigrade as well. And being like, I'm so close to Six Nations as well, where we live. And we were also looking at other artists as well, bringing in some artists from Africa. There was one guy in Kenya that I've been talking with for a little while too, and his the way he storytells is wicked. So definitely,
that'd be amazing to see that different culture come into to writing and that artistic aspect come into it.
It would definitely be wicked to connect like that on something like that, Grim. So.
So you were gonna give us a little sneak peek about a upcoming title.
This is the cover, and
okay,
you can see the like Photoshop and everything else. I can actually probably get rid of that by. Sorry.
I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing.
There we go.
There's a very mystical aspect to that.
Yeah. So this is like an homage cover from Alex Ross, where he did the new version of the Wasp, I think, in the last little bit. And this is our newest. Well, it will be one of the characters. The book is done. We're just finishing up the last little bits of color and then doing last little dialogue corrections. And this character is called Silver Sparrow.
I think somebody mentioned that earlier, and I said I love the name.
Yeah.
Who's the artist on this?
This was illustrated by Felipe. He's where he's down in the States. I'm not sure what state he's in. I can't remember. And it's inked by a 16-year-old kid down in Brazil named Alan Moda. And I think he's actually starting to work as a professional inker.
Wow.
It makes me sad.
Yeah, right.
So
And I'm like, what have I done with my life?
I can't art, and I've never been able to art. So,
This 16-year-old kid just made me look like a fool in my life.
well, you could have had something, man.
I used to draw.
Yeah.
But my old man hands can't do it anymore.
yeah, like, okay, so, I've been drawing my entire life, and the inking that the 16-year-old kid can do, I'm still not there yet, right? So, but
some people just have it, man.
Here, I can give you a preview of the, let's see here, as we going into my inners, the inner.
Yeah, all your personal information there. We're just
what can you say about the superhero comic without giving away too much that you don't want to give away? Like, what can you tell us about it?
Is there a team?
So the Biologicals was just one of those stories that I thought of while I was working, and then I started creating more characters, and then they're kind of like spin-off characters of other main characters, and because I've always been into the whole, like Spider-Man, Batman, all
Yeah.
those characters.
I love the name Biologicals, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's very reminiscent of some other superhero names, but very unique in its own way.
Yeah.
So I'm loving that.
But
like, as a collector myself, I'm interested in the sort of things that you might collect.
Can you pull that up, Laura?
this is one of the pages. So this was drawn by. Here, I can get rid of Photoshop and all the other little sub tabs. But sorry, Dan, ask that question again.
No, we'll finish up with what you got going on here first, and then we'll get into my question.
So this is one of the original scenes. My initial idea and concept for the layout. This was written by a girl named Leah Carlstetter, and she took the outline, had written the story, and then basically we went through like a general character development as well and where they lived in that. And this is what they came up. I wanted the main guards to kind of this Judge feel.
Like Judge Dredd kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I love Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
And no, it's definitely got that feel, right? So
yeah, I'm definitely excited for that.
It's got kind of like the Batman '89 feel, you know, like where the guys, you know, they're on top of the building, and you know, he's like, you know, the famous line, "I'm Batman."
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean. We had Batman on the show once, actually.
We did, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, that was a legit Batman.
Yep.
It wasn't me at all.
No.
This is great. Yeah, this is kind of like, this gives you a little bit of a there you go.
Oh, I love artist sketches.
So
that for a quick sec.
This is another. I can actually go back if you want. So these were panel redraws, and so rather than send it back to the inker and back and forth, I just did the redraw myself and then inked it.
And that's cool.
So, kind of wearing different hats. But with this book, I did all the colors for this book. And then also all the lettering. So
it's great. I always talk about.
Yeah, you do.
I always bring up lettering and you know how important it is. You know, that lettering makes you feel things.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just showing you some of the page art of this book, just kind of as an early bird kind of feature.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man.
See, now we get sneak peeks.
Sneak peeks. You don't get this on other channels, man.
This is what you get with creator. There's the page. So
yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, man. This was a big deal for me and the crew.
He didn't even sleep last night. He cried all night.
I've been
so worried.
I was nervous, man.
I didn't sleep either, man, so don't worry.
Yeah. But I just it's a big deal for me. So we're really happy to have you on and talk about everything you're doing. It excites me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have any other questions?
I'm sure Grim does.
I was wondering about what other kinds. I mean, you're obviously a super busy guy, and a lot of this stuff is business related, but a business you love, obviously. But do you have any other like hobbies or things you like to do in your free time?
You don't have time for hobbies.
That's when he finished saying all of the things he did. I was like, I don't know if this question is going to work, but
I used to have lots of hobbies. Yeah, I used to grow and garden and
grow. I get it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I used to work for medical cannabis greenhouse.
Look at this jack of all trades.
So I used to be into farming. I used to be into microgreens. I used to sell microgreens back in the day at the Woodstock Farmers Market. So yeah, gardening, vegetable gardening. I used to do a lot of that. Fishing. Used to be a hardcore fly fisherman. Tie my own flies. Spend time walking streams, doing things like that.
Jeez.
That sounds like something you don't have time for anymore, right?
Walking, just going for walks, doing the nature walks. Every time I go out back, I see deer. So,
you know what? That sounds wonderful because you see the odd squirrel around here.
Well, I live in the country, Dan. I see a lot of things,
like flying squirrels.
Yeah.
No, there's tons of other little hobby stuff that I had before. So I don't partake in all of these hobbies due to the injury that I have. But
yeah. So I was saying earlier, I'm a collector. I'm wondering what sort of collections that you might have. Are you a comic collector? I know I see some artwork in the background.
I see Grogu in the background.
Right.
I got a few little books kicking around. Obviously, they're the number one things that I use for like reference as well, and as inspiration. So I got like an old Jack Kirby Thor there. I got Constructive Anatomy, like some old like Incredible Hulk compendiums and stuff like that. They get a
Are you big into the compendiums, or do you like single issues type deal?
I used to like to buy those ones when I lived out west because it was nice. You can get like 10 issues. Or is it a compendium and a hardcover? Is that what that is?
Yeah. They do have hardcovers for like trade paperbacks and stuff, but like generally speaking, your compendiums are hardcover.
Yeah, I collected comics, but I was never like really into like the terminology of specific like anthologies and compendiums and stuff. I got the Spawn compendium though, like the second one I think, which is like 50 to 100.
Yeah,
and
I've always been a big Spawn fan, and I wanted to pick up the compendiums, but they get costly and stuff like that. I say they get costly, but then I pick up the single issues.
Like all of them, and then 4 copies because it's different art.
Yeah, but it's all about the art.
Just saying.
Like it's all about the art. Like if you pick up, there's no shame in picking up a cover, like because it's a kick-ass cover.
Yeah. And I met this dude at the art store that I used to work at out west, and he's like, yeah, my name's Ken Stacy, and he's like the colorist on the first issue of Spawn. Like,
oh wow!
And we became buddies, and I didn't really know. And then he's like, yeah, like I work in the comic book industry, and like he's such a character, great guy. And then I go to his show, and then I see all the stuff that he's done, like for like Star Wars and Marvel and DC, and like you're seeing all the original. And I'm just kind of blown away, right?
Well, he was quite humble about it.
Yeah, it was all like quiet. Like everybody's like, "Yeah, do you know this guy?" I'm like, "No, I have no idea who he is." Like I was immersed into the comic book world, right? So, it it was just nice to make his acquaintance. And he's another like Sheridan College graduated from illustration, like Bob, like me, like a bunch of other dudes that I know that work in the field that I talk with on a regular basis, which is awesome. So there's like a whole crew of us that are all comic book guys.
Yeah. I guess that's what it's all about, right? Like for me, at least, you know, especially for me, I'm slowly trying to get everybody around me into comic books. You know, I'm working on you. You're doing.
I'm okay.
I'm doing okay with you.
Yeah, I read things.
All right.
But I prefer compendiums. Like I like being able to not have to try and find every little piece
It's like
to a story.
binge watching a show.
I'm a binge watcher. I like to just have it, and there it is. I'm done. I'm good.
That's probably why I bought them. You know, like to have to wait for. I've never been a man of great patience, right? To have to wait for a book to come out. So, yeah, I definitely liked getting all of it together, right?
I feel like that conflicts with because with running a press company, you know, I feel like you would have to have a bit of patience here and there.
Well, obviously, when I was younger, it was a little different than now, right? So, and then I've learned a lot of patience, right?
Personal growth through all of it, right?
That's what it's all about, right? So,
yeah,
it's all about enjoying the journey. But
I hope we can all kind of get to a place where you're at, where we can ease our way into an industry where we're, you know, we just love to do what we're doing.
I hope the show takes off, and then we just can do this for a living.
It will, absolutely. Yeah, that would be great. So my daughter, like, she does like TikTok and stuff like that, and she's got videos and stuff like that. I think one of her videos had like 8 million views just recently.
What? Isn't that something that's terrifying for a father?
Yeah, it's
like if I had a daughter and she said, "Hey, yeah, Dad, I've got a TikTok account and I'm doing some videos," I'd be like, "Let me see that account."
Yeah. My wife's always watching and taking a look and seeing what she's doing, right? So, but she's definitely some sort of influencer based on the amount of traffic that she has. Like, I think anything over 100,000 is considered an influencer, right?
Yeah.
And she's consistently pushing videos over like 100K, right? So,
do you feel like you're kind of maybe responsible for some of her creative aspect?
Well,
like,
definitely.
Maybe some of that has trickled down.
Yeah. What I want her to do is to work the back end, like social media aspects of Tardigrade.
I'll tell you, sometimes you just fall into it, you know, and somebody in your life just becomes really good at taking care of you.
Yeah.
You're obviously blessed to have that person.
As you're like looking right off camera.
She's literally she's flipping me the bird right now.
That's great.
So yeah, we've been blessed to find ourselves in a group of people that are having fun and genuinely care about what we're doing.
And they're good at it.
You know,
I think
you guys are good at it.
I mean, Wheezy has the best laugh in.
I don't know. Yes, I don't know if you knew this, but we generally speaking, sometimes we've got a little bit of an audience in the crew here.
Oh, nice.
And sometimes you'll hear some chuckles coming from the back, and we've dubbed the one Little Wheezy. Yeah, it's actually become a joy to come into this.
Yeah.
Into this environment.
I enjoyed doing the show prior to this, but
you know,
I love doing the show now that we're here.
So yeah, it's just, you know, trying to grow into something, just like you're doing, and it's just kind of a joy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you know, and then we love having you on. Hope we can collaborate more in the future. Because you know, first off, you know, you're a great guy to have on. You know, and you know, we wish the absolute best for your company.
Got to rep local.
Because I'm definitely enjoying what you put out. So for sure.
Before we let you go, Is there any other words? I mean, you've granted us several words of wisdom thus far and some inspiration.
So words of wisdom I wasn't expecting.
But
I wasn't expecting to be enlightened.
before we let you go, is there any other words of wisdom you'd like to impart to, say, young creators out there?
This is also going to be maybe a last chance for any viewer questions too, probably.
Yeah, young creators is like just follow your passion, do what you love to do, and it'll all come. With the things that I've done is I've always tried to focus on my own vision, my own, dabble in that. Focus on your own creations, your own visions. I know it's very interesting to be influenced and affected by so much fan art and stuff of drawing Spider-Man and Hulk and stuff like that. But, take that as an inspiration and draw and create your own characters and your own worlds and use those as a launch pad into your own creative pages and characters and stuff. So
obviously you've got to let your own personality shine through, right?
Absolutely, right? I know people are so attracted to drawing in numbers by drawing familiar things, right? But you got to build it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because I love drawing my own characters.
Even some of the biggest people in the industry have left some of the biggest names, and went and made their own publishing. Like Image Comics came from a whole bunch of people being fed up with not being able to produce their own images,
mm-hmm.
And have their own inspirations come to life, right?
For sure.
So like even some of the biggest people in the industry have done just that, and they've taken inspiration from other things and made their own things out of it.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful, guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I really appreciate you guys having me, and
absolutely.
It's it doesn't matter if it's a half an hour or 10 hours. It's
an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I've absolutely had a blast.
I've
okay, this, and if anything comes out of this, I want more people to know about Tardigrade Press and the things that you do. So we're gonna do our best to push that, right? And I don't find that hard to do because it's something that I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So what I want everybody to do is look in the description and go and visit Tardigrade Press. Visit the Kickstarter, and let's get this on a roll, man.
Yeah.
There'll be connections to everything through the blog. We have a blog on the page as well, and you can connect directly. But my mission's very much the same for you guys, right? Is to promote all the people as well. We have like a special thanks page of all the individuals that have helped us along the way to get to where we're at as well. What would I call that page? I can't even remember. But you guys are on it. Brandon's on it.
Yeah, I think we've seen that. Big shout out to Bit Comics, by the way, Back in Time Comics. That's where we first met 2 years ago, I think, at the Free Comic Book Day,
which was awesome.
And I've been wanting to do something with you ever since.
Yeah,
and
here we are.
Yeah, I'm glad that's come to light.
We made it.
We've succeeded now.
You're welcome. Right now, we're exchanging Rolodex with other small independent companies right now, and you guys will probably be listed on the podcasts for other creators to streamline into their rollout.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, man. We'd like to talk more with you and some of the artists that you collab with and stuff like that. We want to have you back. And we'd love to have you here in our studio.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, we're gonna call it an evening.
Yes, we are.
Unless you have something.
But remember, like, subscribe, check out Tardigrade Press.
There it is. Indie community and supporters.
Comments in the comments. We try and answer all of those things, even if we're not live.
Yeah.
We love you.
Posted a video of the Nerdy Couch video on there, so
That's right. Yeah. I'm not in it, but
nice.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, he's been sour about that, by the way.
Oh yeah, I can post one. I'll update it.
No, it's fine.
I'll update it with this video.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea. He's very needy.
That's all right.
You know, like he comes in here and he's like, "Hey, how can I get noticed?"
Hair and makeup, this shirt. I'm in. I got it.
Find a need, fill a need.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for coming. Hopefully we can have you back soon.
Absolutely.
Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful,
Peace.
wonderful evening.
Cheers.
Bye-bye now. Oh, yeah.